On Tuesday, I went through the brand new Valda Spire Secrets Player Pack 2 subclasses, and today I'm going to go through the rest of everything else that there is in there, including some cool new feats, some spells, some magic items, and even some critters. Well, familiars, not Critical Role fans. I don't think any of you are in the Players Pack. I could be wrong, though. Let me know, I guess. Hello, my name is Jason. This is Dungeon Himbo, where I go through all kinds of third-party things, general book reviews on stuff that's on D&D Beyond, builds, and more. If you like any of that, or the sound of any of it, like and subscribe. Hop into my Discord, which is in the description. That's the end of the call to action, so should we just get into the actual video itself and have a look at some of these cool new things. Keyboard is squeaking. Much better. Let's kick off with the feats, of which they are all general feats. There are no origin feats here, you heathens. I don't know why you're a heathen. That was needlessly aggressive. I am sorry. A lot of these are magic based. I'm a little sad not to see more martial feats, but we did get some really cool ones in the Northlands book, so maybe I'm fine with it. I don't know. First up is Familiar Keeper. This is a boost to your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma by 1. You don't actually need the spell casting feature to have this one, which I like a lot. This gives you the Find Familiar spell, always prepared, and you can cast it as a magic action without expending a spell slot or material components. You can do this once per long rest, which means you don't have to do it as a ritual, which is nice. When you cast the Find Familiar spell, you can choose one of the normal forms or one of the special forms, Imp, Pseudo Dragon, Quasit, Sphinx of Wonder, or Sprite, which I believe are the Pact of the Tome ones, although they're still not going to be able to attack in combat, so keep that in mind. Along with that, when a creature within 5 feet of your familiar makes an attack roll, you can take a reaction to command the familiar to give it disadvantage. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all uses on a long rest. Familiars are handy. They are incredibly useful, actually, in D&D. Not only do they get a lot of use outside of combat, but even in combat they can often give the help action, and here give the opposite of the help action, the unhelp action, as it is known. Officially. 100% that's the name of it. This is a solid feat. I think it's a little niche, obviously, but if you want familiars and you've got items which give you familiars, or you just want it as a vibe thing for your character, then this is a cool feat to have access to. Flex Caster is next. This does require spell casting and is once again a boost to your mental stats. This gives you the ability to, when you cast a spell such as Magic Missile, which can be cast with a higher level spell slot for more powerful effects, you can expend any additional spell slot to increase the spell's effective level by 1 up to a maximum level of 9. Effectively, what this means is you can expend a level 1 spell alongside whatever it is you're casting in order to upcast it, which is going to absolutely blitz through your spell slots, but it's an interesting way to use them. Along with that, you can downcast your spells by casting them with a higher level spell slot, but choosing the normal version of the spell in order to regain a level 1 spell slot. So you can kind of upcycle and recycle your spell slots as you choose, which is an interesting way to balance things. I like this in theory. I don't know whether or not this is just highly abusable, but also the ability to cast spells at a higher level isn't giving you higher level spells. It's just letting you upcast the ones that you have, and you're spending 2 spell slots just to do it. So I think it's probably fine. It is cool. Next is Magitechnician. This is another mental stat one. I really wish this wasn't just a mental stat one, though. This one reads, if one of your magic items calls for a saving throw, it uses the following DC if it is higher. It is 8 plus the ability you modified with this, plus your proficiency bonus. This lets your magic items scale. This is actually something I've been thinking about doing a video on as a way to help martials out. I think martial weapons should have scaling DCs. This is a cool way to do that. You don't need spell casting for the feature, but it is an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma boost. That being said, if you pick this one up, with one of your extra feats as a fighter, for example, you're going to have a good time with it. Also, when you finish a short rest, you can regain charges as if it was the next dawn for an item once per long rest, which is a great way to get more use out of your magic items. I think this is a really cool feat. I think it probably makes sense on an artificer. This feels very artificer focused, but I think it's good for anyone, really. Next is Metabolistic Magic. This is another spellcasting or pack magic one, and it lets you boost a mental stat. When you fail a d20 test, you can expend a spell slot to gain a bonus. The bonus is 2 plus the level of the spell slot. You can do this as many times as you want, but again, you're going to burn through your spell slots if you do this a lot. That being said, kind of nice to be able to just guarantee stuff is working, whether that's a saving throw or an attack or something else. So Not bad if you have spare spell slots just hanging around. You can also, when you finish a short rest, expend a number of hit point dice up to your proficiency bonus to recover expended spell slots. You can choose spell slots to recover that have a combined level equal to no more than the number of hit point dice you have expended. You can do this once per long rest. So if you expend 3 hit point dice, for example, you can then gain a 3 level 1 slots, 1 level 3 slot, or 1 level 2 and level 1 slot. You get to choose as you go. I like this feat a lot. If you're going to be doing a lot of spell casting, it's a fun way to get more spell slots. Definitely some interesting interactions here with sorcerers and other classes that can muck around with the spell slots already, so could be a fun one. Pyromaniac is next. This is another intelligence, wisdom, or charisma boost. This one does not require spell casting though. This gives you the firebolt cantrip, always prepared, and you also get both burning hands and scorching ray, which you can cast without a spell slot once each per long rest. You can also use spell slots if you have them. Along with that, whenever you deal fire damage and roll the highest number on any damage die, you can roll that damage die again and add it to the damage, and you can keep doing that basically. You can only do this, you can only add a number of maximum dice equal to your proficiency bonus. It says minimum of 1, which is fascinating because characters start off with a proficiency bonus of 2, but hey, this feat has some seriously fun applications. I've done 2 vulnerability to fire builds. Something like this with that could completely break them. Not that they're not already somewhat silly. I love this. I love elemental specific feats. We got the Ice Mastery one from Northlands, along with obviously Coldcaster is another example of that. I think these are fantastic and I love them, so I am here for it. Next we have Shock Trooper, which is a strength or dex buff. This allows you to, when you roll initiative and you don't have disadvantage on it, you can draw a weapon and make an attack using it, which is great if you are next to a creature or you have ranged attacks, obviously. And along with that, your first round of combat sees your speed doubled, allowing you to just blitz through the battlefield. This is a cool feat. It does not have the same level of power as any of the other ones I've talked about so far, which I think is a real shame, but I do like it. I like it. I don't know when I would choose it, is the issue with feats, right? The more feats there are, the more limited your choices are, really, because there are certain ones which are always going to float to the top. Showman is our penultimate feat. This allows us to boost our charisma by 1, and if we gain proficiency in performance, and if we already have proficiency, we gain expertise instead. You can also take a bonus action to mock a creature within 15 feet of yourself, which gives that creature disadvantage on its next attack rolls made against a creature other than you before the end of its next turn. You can do this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all uses on a long rest. If you're going for something like a Hexblade Warlock or an in-combat bard, a melee bard, this could be a fantastic boost to your abilities. I like taunt effects a lot, and proficiency bonus per long rest is perfectly reasonable. The final feat is Spellblade, and this might be the most interesting of the bunch. This allows you to boost your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma by 1, but most notably does not require you to have spellcasting. This gives you 2 cantrips of your choice from among Arc Blade, Burning Blade, Frigid Blade, or True Strike. True Strike you likely will have heard of, and we'll go over the other 3 when we get to them. This gives you intelligence, wisdom, or charisma as your casting ability, and whenever you gain a new level, you can change your cantrip selection. Along with that, when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks with a casting of Arc Blade, Burning Blade, Frigid Blade, or True Strike, which is very tasty when compared with any extra attacks that already let you do something like that, because theoretically you could have 2 cantrips on 1 attack action, which is pretty strong, although one of them has to be one of these blade cantrips, so it balances it out a little bit. And when you attack using your strength or dexterity with a weapon with which you have proficiency, you can gain a bonus equal to your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma modifier. You choose the ability each time you use the benefit, and you can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. This allows you to theoretically build a Valor Bard, which is maining dex, and then boost your attacks using your charisma bonus, and I think that's pretty neat. So I like this feat a lot. Let me know if you think that the double cantrip thing is broken. I do think there are arguments in favor of it. I don't think it completely busts it open, if I'm being honest, but I can see why you might think that. It is just another way in which magical melee fighters are better than martial ones, which is upsetting. But you can also take this as a martial one. So getting access to True Strike or something as a fighter is just a standard fighter could be pretty cool. Although it does have to use your spellcasting ability. So you do need decent mental stats for it. Let's get into the spells, shall we? This is an alphabetical order. So Arc Blade is up first. This is a cantrip for Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. There's a range of 15 feet and it is an action. It requires a melee weapon. As you make one attack with lightning surging through your weapon, it can be a melee attack or a ranged spell attack using the weapon with a range of 15 feet. A wave of energy extends from the weapon. The attack uses your spellcasting ability for the attack and damage rolls instead of strength or dex. If it is a ranged attack, it deals lightning. Otherwise, it can deal lightning or the weapon's normal damage type. And this goes up by 1d6, 2d6, and 3d6. So this is a good way to add a little bit more range to your melee attacks if that's something you need to do. The ranged version of it is a little less good, but hey ho. Blunder is next. This is a level 2 enchantment spell for bards and wizards, and it's a reaction you take when a creature you can see within range hits a target with an attack roll. It's a range of 30 feet. The target has to make a wisdom saving throw or either drop one weapon that it's holding, with the object landing in a space of your choice up to 10 feet away from the target. And if the target drops the weapon it was making the attack roll with, it can make an unarmed strike instead. Or the target gains the prone condition, and the disadvantage from the prone condition applies against the triggering attack, potentially causing it to miss. This is funny, and I like it. Burning Blade is Sorcerer, Warlock, or Wizard. This is the same melee stuff that we already mentioned. I'm not going over that every single time. This time it's fire instead of lightning, obviously. And if the weapon's damage dice or any of the spell's damage dice roll the highest number, you can roll the die again and add it on up to a number equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. Also, you get an extra damage die at 5, 11, and 17. This is, again, this combined with the Pyromaniac feat seems really strong. I guess I'll make the Human Torch or something at some point as a build. But yeah, definitely a lot of potential with this one. Candy Blast is another cantrip for Sorcerer and Wizard, an action in a range of 60 feet. You yeet some candy at a creature you can see within range. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 force damage and the candy forms a pile in the ground in its space, causing a 5-foot square area of your choice in the target space to become difficult to rain. The candy produced by the spell is edible but has no nutritional value and vanishes after a minute. The damage goes up at 5, 11, and 17, as you would expect. Difficult to rain for one space is weird, but I think it's mostly just flavor. This is a silly spell, and I don't think most people are going to be using it, but hey, if you're playing a character with a sweet tooth, maybe you will. Cheat is a bard, sorcerer, warlock, or wizard spell. It is a bonus action and it targets. You can reroll any ability check you make to play non-magical games of skill and must use the new roll. You can't do this. So you could do this with poker. You could not do this with a deck of many things. It's a good roleplay spell. Cosmic Horror is a level 3 conjuration for sorcerer, warlock, and wizard. Action, 60 feet, concentration up to a minute. For the briefest moment, you open a portal to an eldritch dimension in a 10-foot radius sphere centered on a point you can see within range. Each creature within the sphere makes a wisdom saving throw as it beholds the nightmarish dimension. On a failed save, a creature takes 66 psychic damage and has the frightened condition for the duration. On a successful save, it only takes half as much damage. A creature frightened by the spell makes another wisdom saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. So you do the damage once, and then the frightened condition can last up to a minute, basically. Not bad. Depends how much frightened is doing for you, really. Flashback is a bard, cleric, or wizard spell. It's an action. It targets you. It's a level 3 one. I'm going to skip through this. Basically, you can cast this and tell your GM preparation that you did within the last 24 hours for the current combat encounter that you're in, which can add something to the encounter, but very rarely take something away. It's cool. It's a cool concept for a spell. It's a little meta, but I don't dislike that. Lord Reconstruction is for Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. It's a level 1 spell. This allows you to heal a creature by 3d6, but the mending is imperfect, which means that the target's hit point maximum is reduced by 1d6. It doesn't state when this goes away. I would assume on a long rest. Doesn't say it in the spell. Probably should. I think long rests just reset your hit point maximum generally anyway, so maybe that's why it doesn't. Frenzy is a level 6 bard or wizard spell. It has an action to cast, a range of 120 feet, and it requires concentration. Each creature in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point you choose within range must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, a creature has the frenzied condition for the duration. A creature with a frenzied condition loses the ability to distinguish friend and foe, and sees all creatures as enemies. While frenzied, The creature chooses the targets for attacks, spells, and abilities randomly from among the creatures it can see within range, and must make an opportunity attack if any creature provokes one. At the end of its turn, a creature can repeat the saving throw, ending the condition on a success. This could be absolutely bananas, or it could be completely useless. It doesn't say anything about Charmed, which is cool because it gets around the Charmed condition resistances that some of these spells rely on, but it really depends how many creatures are in that 20-foot radius sphere, right? Frigid Blade is another blade cantrip. This one lets you upgrade your weapon's damage dice, so from a d6 to a d8, d10 to d12, so on. The weapon's damage dice don't increase if it has more than one damage die, so it doesn't work for 2d6s to 2d8s. If the attack deals damage, it can be cold, or the weapon's normal damage, and the damage goes up as you level up. This is nifty. Probably the weakest of the bunch because it's just a slight upgrade. The damage dice upgrade really isn't great unless you're going from a d10 to a 2d6 where it's the strongest. Generally speaking, the fire one is going to be your strongest bet for pure damage, and the lightning one obviously gives you more range. So this is a cool concept, pun intended, but not especially powerful. Mandy's Marvelous Dress is a level 4 bard spell. It's an action, it's a range of touch. A willing creature you touch is instantly clothed in a fabulous ball gown, perfectly tailored and complete with a set of glittering jewelry. You can choose for the dress to sit atop the creature's clothing or armor, or for it to replace the outfit. Until the spell ends when the wearer makes a d20 test using charisma. It can replace the number it rolls with a 10. If the wearer of the dress is attacked by a creature that can see it, the attacker must succeed in a wisdom saving throw or miss the attack. And the spell's duration depends on where it was cast. If it was a casting location where time passes normally, the spell lasts until the 12th stroke of the next midnight, however long that may be. Elsewhere, it lasts for 24 hours. So it's a very silly spell. It's obviously Cinderella. I like it a lot. Protect Threshold is next, which is action or ritual for sorcerer and wizard. You trace arcane signals along a boundary of a doorway, window, or other portal. For the duration, an invisible eldritch creature stalks the warded portal. Any creature that attempts to pass through must make a wisdom saving throw. It takes 46 psychic damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. This is cool if you're laying a trap. I'm here for it. Rock's Fall is the highest spell, strongest spell, highest level spell, there we go, in the player pack, and it is level 8 for Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. It's an action with a range of 120 feet, and it's instantaneous. Boulders appear in the air and fall in a 60-foot radius with a 120-foot high cylinder centered at a point within range. Each creature in the cylinder makes a dex save, taking 10d8 bludgeoning damage and becoming buried on a failed save and only taking half as much damage otherwise. While buried, the creature is both prone and restrained, but can take an athletics check against your spell save DC to try to escape. This is quite strong, honestly. I like it a lot. Rusting Grasp is level 3, Druid, Sorcerer, Wizard, action and touch. You make a melee spell attack against a creature or object within your reach. On a hit, a creature takes 6d4 acid damage and has a -3 penalty to its AC to a minimum of 10 for 1 hour. If you target a non-magical metal object with this spell that isn't being worn or carried, you corrode and destroy parts of the object that you choose that can fit within a 1-foot cube. The damage goes up by 2d4 for each spell level above 3, and if you target a non-magical object, you can destroy an additional cubic foot for each slot above level 3. This is pretty cool. I like it. It's an interesting one, but being able to reduce the AC of a creature could be very, very powerful. Seance is Bard or Wizard, casting time of 10 minutes. It's a level 3 spell, lasts for a minute. Describe or name a creature that is familiar to you. If the creature's soul is free and willing, it manifests as a ghostly spectre. The spell fails if the spirit was the target of this spell within the last 10 days. You can ask 3 questions of the spectre. It only knows what it knew during life. Answers are usually brief, cryptic, or repetitive, and the spectre is under no compulsion to answer truthfully if you are hostile to it or if it recognizes you as an enemy. There is also a 5% chance that this spell contacts the wrong spirit, one which will answer questions untruthfully or ambiguously. Very silly. I don't know what you want from that. It's like Speak from the Dead, but with vibes. So, Soul Effigy is a warlock spell, level 4. Casting time is 1 minute or a ritual. It's a range of touch, and it lasts for 8 hours. A humanoid you touch makes a con save. On a failed save, a fragment of its soul is bound to the doll used in the spell's casting, which becomes an effigy of that creature. The spell ends if the effigy is destroyed or if the target is on another plane of existence. But for the duration, you could use a magic action to do one of the following. You can directly control the target's actions and movement on its next turn by manipulating the effigy's limbs. The target can only take the dash, disengage, hide, or utilize action, and the movements are jerky and unnatural. You prod the effigy to deal 2d8 damage to the creature, which is bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, or another type appropriate to the means by which you harm. The damage ignores resistances and immunity. You submerge the effigy in water, causing the target to believe it is tooltip not found. I'm assuming that's drowning. The target has the restrained condition until the end of your next turn. This is nifty. There are campaigns in which this is going to be really, really strong. There are also campaigns in which you're never going to get to use this. Can I interest you in some Stone Bones? This is a level 2 Druid, Paladin, Ranger, Sorcerer, and Wizard spell, and it is a bonus action to cast. You choose a creature within range, and it gains resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for 1 round. So it lasts until the end of your next turn. Swift Flight is Sorcerer or Wizard. It is also a bonus action, and it allows you to give a target a fly speed and hover speed of 60 until the end of its next turn. When the spell ends, it falls if it is still flying. This is pretty cool, actually. I think there are some interesting applications for 1 turn 60-foot fly speed, specifically for trying to get out of somewhere and you're giving it to a monk that doesn't already have a fly speed, for example, or someone else that can do a lot of dashes. So I like it. It is interesting. Sword of Judgment is a cleric or paladin spell. It is an action to cast. It has a range of 60 feet and its concentration for up to a minute. You make a 20-foot radius sphere on a point centered within a point you choose within range. A spectral sword appears above each of the creatures within that sphere, following the creature as long as it remains within it, which is tricky. You need to keep the creatures in it, which is easier said than done, but it's great if they're in a room. Whenever a creature within the sphere makes an attack or casts a spell, the creature has to make a dex save, or the sword above it falls. This can only happen once per turn, but it does 48 damage, force damage on a failed save, and half as much on a successful one, so it can be a good way to just stop creatures hitting you if you need to do that. You need surgical precision for this one to work, but if you can get it to work, it does seem quite strong. Transient Bulwark is a level 1 sorcerer or wizard spell. It's an action or a wizard. It lasts for 8 hours, but it does consume a pearl worth 10 gold. You make a fragile invisible shield for the duration. The next attack roll against you has a -10 penalty to hit, and the spell ends. And then finally, Zephyr's Feather. This is a druid, ranger, sorcerer, warlock, and wizard spell. It's an action to cast, and it lasts for a minute, but you do need to concentrate on it. You make 4 magically sharpened feathers that hover around you, and as a bonus action, you can yeet them at something, but you can also do so as you cast. The feathers do 1d8 force damage, and the damage increases by 1d8 for each spell slot level above 1. You do have a range of 120 feet with these, and this scales up pretty well, actually. I think that this is a good contender for one of those spells that just scales up really, really powerfully, and getting 4 hits of 3d8 at spell level 3, so at level 5, that's a lot of damage. Sure, you have to space it out, but it's hard to argue with, right? And it's your bonus action, which is lovely. Go through the magic items next. Bag of Cheer. As a magic action, you can pull a present from it. You have to roll on the thing, and that's it. Basically, the bag can be used once per day. It's very silly. It's a very rare item, but look at it. It's adorable. Gambler's Coin has 3 charges, and when you make a d20 test, you can choose to expend a charge and flip it. On a heads, the roll is treated as a 20, but you can't crit with that, and on a tails, it's treated as a 1. It's nifty. Leaden Manacles. These manacles are used to restrain spellcasters. When the creature attempts to cast a spell or take the magic action, while it's bound, it has to make a DC 20 ability check using its spellcasting ability. On a failure, the spell or magic action fails, and the creature takes 4d6 fire damage. The spell slot or magic action is also wasted, as well as the action, bonus action, or reaction taken too. So these could be very, very strong, but you need to be able to give them to a creature. Street Justice plus this seems really, really good. Nolzor's Painted World is a legendary item. Has to be a Dark Souls reference. Dark Souls 3 comes to mind. Paintings are cold and dark. Lovely place. This is either a medium or large painting. The painting depicts a serene painted world and acts as a portal to a demiplane in which that world exists. Creatures of the painting's size or smaller can pass through into the demiplane. Inside the painted world, a portal to the real world appears as a misty archway. The location, objects, and creatures depicted within the painted world are determined by the painting's creator, and such objects and creatures dissipate into smoke if removed from the painting. Time moves at half speed within the painted world. This is just a cool item. A Reaper's Ammunition is a legendary ammunition. If a creature takes damage from this magic ammunition, it dies. The ammunition then becomes non-magical. Hard to argue with that. Don't give this one to your players if you don't want them killing stuff off. Soul Figurine is a wondrous item. If you drop to 0 hit points while attuned to this figurine, roll 2d10 and then add 10. Your hit points change to that number instead. The figure's expression then becomes sorrowful, and the figurine becomes non-magical. We've then got weapon charms, which can do a bunch of things, including ignoring cover, upgrading your weapons, making your crits more powerful, allowing your weapon to teleport to your hand as a bonus action, allowing you to move as you attack, which is Lovely. Adding an extra d6 of lightning damage on a hit, and allowing you to ignore the loading property of a weapon. All good stuff. We've then got new familiars. It's got 4 new familiars for the standard Find Familiar, and if you can choose the Imp, Pseudo-Dragon, etc., you've got 3 other options for that too. The Flying Book is a flying book. Familiars are so weird to cover, so I'm just going to talk about them quickly. You have a Flying Book. It does surprisingly good damage, 1d4 plus 2, and it has Blind Sight, making it pretty potentially powerful on anything where you're looking at illusions or anything like that. We have a Fright, which is this adorable little ghost dude. This thing can reduce the hit point maximum if it's attacking, making it potentially a terrifying thing to go up against if a Pact of the Chain Warlock is commanding it. The Grey is adorable. I don't know what else you want to know about it. It can mimic sounds. It's cool. The Mock is a little monstrosity bag of gold. It does okay damage, but it can also adhere to anything it touches, like a Mimic. Mimic was the word I was looking for. It's a pet rock. That's it. Doesn't do anything. Winter Wolf Pup has Pack Tactics and does okay damage, 2d4 plus 1. And then the Yarn Golem can poke things and can also entangle creatures and grapple them, which is not bad either. It also looks adorable. So, you know, we've got that going for us. But that is it for Valda Spire Secrets Player Pack 2. We've gone through the subclasses, which I will have up here, and now we've gone through this, which you're watching at the moment. I guess I'll link to the other Valda's review, because that seems like the correct thing to do. I think this is another one of those things which is just preposterously good value for money. If you are on the fence about this, you now have access to everything that it offers, and you can look at it and you can go, no, I should buy this. This is a very good investment. I think it's a good investment. So yeah, another fantastic player pack from Valda Spire Secrets. This one's a little bit more serious than the first one, which I know some people are going to like, and I just think it's great. So yeah, good work. I hope that you are well and continue to do well. Check out the videos, as I said. I will see you whenever it is I next see you. I believe in you. Do some push-ups. They help you get strong. Goodbye.